Netanyahu is somebody who is constantly under fire, both in Israel and abroad. I see him as kind of the face of the devil on campuses. That's how people think about him. And I'm wondering how you view Netanyahu's role in this Hamas-Israel war.
Well, Benjamin Netanyahu is one of the most vilified leaders in the world today. And he has a remarkably large number of critics in Israel itself. As you mentioned, in some campuses, he's regarded as the devil incarnate. It's not the first time that a Jewish leader has been portrayed in those terms historically. I am an outlier in this great debate because I have been a great defender of Mr. Netanyahu. I published a piece in the Spectator magazine just the other day likening him to Bismarck, Bibi as Bismarck, because I think he's been a remarkable leader for Israel. He's transformed Israel's strategic situation, and he's done this with ingenuity that you need to have given the way in which Israeli domestic politics works. And he has a Machiavellian character. I think he's probably the most authentically Machiavellian leader in the world today, that ability to play complex domestic games and at the same time play complex strategic games. What his critics, I think, consistently fail to see is that Bibi took Israel from a world in which it was really very isolated, where it was surrounded by foes, and it really only had one reliable friend in the United States. And he has changed its situation so that it has relations with multiple Arab states, an ongoing process that we think of as the Abraham Accords of reconciliation with the Arab states. And he has successfully shifted the focus away from the Palestinians and onto Iran as the fundamental cause of the instability of the region. That is a huge strategic shift that I think has altered Israel's situation strategically in ways that are much superior to the predicament of 50 years ago when Israel was extraordinarily vulnerable to attack from nearly all its neighbors. That's an achievement that I think future historians may be able to write about. It's hard to make that argument now because after a long political career, Bibi has made a great many enemies at home and abroad. At some point, this career comes to an end. Bismarck's did too. But when it ends, as happened with Bismarck, people will realize how very, very difficult it is to follow that act. Dropping the pilot was a famous line at the time that Bismarck was dismissed by Kaiser Wilhelm II. I think when the Israeli people drop the pilot, it will be very hard indeed to find a leader that skilled at balancing the incredibly complex constituencies within Israel itself and dealing with Israel's very, very vulnerable location in the world. When I was last sitting with Prime Minister Netanyahu in his office in February of this year, sitting opposite him the way you're sitting opposite me, I noticed something, almost a nervous tick on his part, and that was that in the course of the conversation, every 3 or 4 minutes or so, he would look across the room like that at a map of the region on the office wall, as if he had to remind himself every few minutes of exactly Israel's strategic situation, its smallness, its vulnerability, the extreme difficulty of the task that he has for so many years been carrying out. So I, although in a minority these days, admire Mr. Netanyahu for his skill. Yes, he's Machiavellian. Yes, he's Bismarckian. But maybe that's what you have to be when you're in the situation that Israel is on that map on his wall.